with Daley Pearson. And I think the best way, we've talked about this in a previous conversation, and the best way to have the conversation is with all of you. So.
Oh yeah, I just thought at the, everyone gave really great presentations, and then when the water relaxed after 3 questions, more people wanted to ask questions. So I thought constantly, if you wanted to interrupt, I'm more than happy to clarify something. I probably will need to clarify.
So there's a bit to talk about, but the structure is loose, so please interject whenever
you're talking about the Matrix and lots of cool stuff.
But before we start doing that, maybe just for those
before
that
we start talking about the Matrix,
Daley Pearson, you're a bit of a success story. Yes, well, you might not like to say so, but you are. You've had a phenomenal 3 years.
Yeah, I've been very lucky.
Luck and talent and hard work. But what
and other people.
Recently, Daley had the pleasure of being part of an Emmy award-winning team. So you won an international digital Emmy for your project 7 Days Later.
Yeah, in Cairns. I was born in Cairns. Well, I pronounce Cairns now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you know. But no, I did. It was amazing. It was amazing.
So that's sort of been the end of a pretty fabulous 3 years. Maybe just can you give us like the quick from 3 years ago to now? What's happened for you?
Yeah, totally. I was going to use this to help. I don't know if this will help. But I came from doing my own stuff outside of a company with companies. And just recently, I started maybe 2 years ago, started a company with 3 other guys who are also creators themselves, but some are EPs, and we're called Ludo. And we try to figure out what we do at the core, and we thought what it was creating characters you want to be or be with, and we actually stole that. We stole this saying from a company called Moderator Studios, who do Adventure Time and The Fairly Odd Parents and lots of really cool stuff. So a lot of this presentation is stolen. It's a bit of a Frankenstein thing. We have something coming up how we made the Matrix. But no, that's what we've done. That's what we think we do, or we want to do. We want to create characters you want to be or be with. And I think if that's at the heart of everything, it will be okay, whatever comes out. And we have a company mission, which I adjusted because I became such a fan of Half Bricks, because a lot of the company missions are things like we'll be on all platforms and we'll create amazing content for the world, but they had that they'll enable their creators to live happy lives, which was the best. I added in brackets rich, which was cool, but I just thought that was amazing to me, and it's why I like events like this, is that I would never have known that, and it was I think that is as important as doing Jetpack Joyride, which I love. So that's us. So ours is a little bit different. We like to create extraordinary original content, so as much as possible we like to create our own. It's a bit harder sometimes. I don't really know what the opposite is, but I assume it's a little bit easier to sort of go out and maybe join writing teams and things like that. But if you're starting from scratch, it's a little bit harder. But it gets easier the more you make, I found. Because you've made something that people can see beforehand. I could trust them again to make something original. But that's us, to create extraordinary original entertainment properties across multiple platforms, blah, 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 blah. But that is us. That's a few of the projects we made. And these are the guys. I won't go too into deep, but it's 4 guys. Very chauvinistic. Yes, we ate animals and things like that. But we're from Queensland, New South Wales. We're all creators. We have somebody who's a little bit more EP-ish and producer and a creator, like a Padawan and a whatever they are, the Jedi, always 2. And we have amazing teams in both cities. So that's where we are. And what we think, and this isn't anything new. Hoodlum were doing it before anyone, so it's nothing new. But what we try to say that we do is we create stuff that in the middle of social, online, and broadcast. Because I don't think online and social are the same thing. You can just broadcast online, but I don't think that means that it's actually a social show that you're trying to interact with people. But anyway, I'm probably waffling, and I'm trying to go through this quickly, so hopefully I can vomit information on you that you might want to know a bit more about. Sounded funny. And our audience at the moment are young adults, children, and family. That's at the moment. We love everything, and we try to say that we would like to make everything, and you know, maybe one day we will make The Exorcist, but not at the moment. It's something more along the lines of this. And in terms of the projects, I could just snap through them and then lead up to 7 days, which was the culmination of everything. So these are the 6 projects, and some of these are before we started, and some are
So before 7 Days, you mean?
Before Ludo became what it was.
Separate projects.
Yeah. So the first one that sort of gave me a leg in with stuff was Strange Chores, and that was done with Hoodlum in Brisbane. So Nathan, Tracy, and Lee. Lee was my story producer, and he was the person who helped me learn how to make a TV show. I hadn't really done anything before. I'd done a feature film that didn't really go anywhere. It was called Squid.
Squid movie. It's a great movie.
You didn't say that before. You said it's a weird movie.
It is a weird movie, but it's a great movie.
And you gave it to Hoodlum and you said, this is a bit stupid, but it had something
I said
in it.
It's
Which
weird,
I actually,
but there's something really good.
It's funny you said that, because I would happily tell, if you want to know, and I'd rather it be a question, how Strange Chores happened, because it probably was the most...
it was your first sort of
profound step up, I get. It was the most difference between doing stuff in your backyard with friends and then doing something for ABC with an amazing production company that won Emmys and BAFTAs. So it was the biggest gap probably that I've jumped, I think. So the Strange Chores was I had that as a show and took it to Hoodlum. Then they made it better, and that was the first bit of success we had, and it turned into. On all due to Hoodlum, the fastest turnaround in Australian history. Also, they had an amazing show. That was part of it. But it's that was something that was just a little news bite that helped open doors. And they managed to get it to Hulu as well. They're amazing like that. And it just opened up the audience. I get emails still and tweets from people in Carolina. I don't know where that is. Maybe like Africa. It's a joke. But all these people around the world, and it's the first time that's opened up, and when I've been able to go overseas and have meetings, it's something that made things easier. It didn't make things happen. No doors were open for me at all. There was no one saying come and talk to us, but it made the conversation easier to have a little news bite like that. So that was the first thing that was happening. At the same time, I was friends with Nick Bosher, who was doing Beach Dads, and he does lots of online stuff, and he had a different model. So I went straight to the broadcaster. He had created stuff for online, and it went a bit crazy, and then he went to broadcast. And he did Beach Dads, and I won't mention all the stats, but I think it was probably the first, maybe, and I might be stepping on toes, but I think it was the first sort of mainstream YouTube hit that became a bit commercial, maybe in Australia. A one-off sort of thing, like it's shirt sort of Supre. I think it got got millions in gross for them, and it went back into making it. And then they did 2 series on ABC, and that was very much Nick and his creative gang, and that was a very different model to what I did, which was went straight to the broadcaster with not much backing up. So they had an audience and whatnot like that. And then Nick doubled that again. So at the same time that I was still doing Strange Chores, Nick was another sort of model that he did was Hipsters, and he did that with Christian Van Buren. Same sort of thing, that they made episodes for a year online, and it just picked up an audience. And then the ABC bought the episodes as acquisitions for interstitials, and then it sort of made sense for them to say, well, let's just do a show. And they're doing a show right now for 6.5 hours, and it's Nick's first other than 7 Days, first sort of proper show. So it was 2 different roads we took, and that's a lot of why we formed Ludo as well, that Nick was coming from online. He was able to he did Trent from Punchy. Do you guys know Trent from Punchy? I shouldn't say that. I think he's trying to keep it a little bit secret. But that was him. And he's caught lightning in a bottle 3 times. And what we bring probably in Queensland is a little bit more broadcast to that. And the first sort of project where those came together with broadcast and online was 7 Days Later, and that's the one that it was a really small show. I would not be surprised if you hadn't heard of it or seen it. It wasn't a massive show, but it did really well in numbers. And this was our first proper project together, and it was pitched before 7 Days. So Strange Chores. And I'm trying to think how to intro it, but the basic idea of it's we stole SNL. It's just pretty much that.
Has anyone seen it, just out of interest? So some people will get, okay.
7 people, that's pretty good.
So for those that don't, now we need...
Yeah, I'm happy to. So what I thought I would play, which might just help, is the making of episode 1. So 7 Days Later was a show where we took Australia's arguably biggest YouTube stars, like Lorne Michaels would have taken stand-ups, and we put them together with major celebrities like Corey Feldman, who was amazing. And that was it. And we made each episode in 7 days. So Tuesday we wouldn't have anything, and then the next Tuesday we would have an episode and a making of and lots of other little stuff. So the best way I could describe it was a half-hour show, but it was fractured up into broadcast online and iView and other stuff. But I'll
and the audience participation.
Yeah, that's probably the interactive Emmy bit. Yeah, that bit. The audience would make each episode with us. So we would do in all sorts of ways, on all platforms, sort of say we have nothing, we need something. And there'd be a lot of structure to it. I'm probably being a bit flippant. There was a bit of structure to it. But that was it. It was a show that wasn't just multi-platform. It was a show where the multi-platform affected what the show was. And this is the making of the... I will keep going just for a second to say what we're working on now and then jump back to 7 days later. And then since then we're doing an ABC series, which is an animation. So we're trying to do stuff while people are letting us. And we're doing that with ABC3 with Deirdre here, and it's so good. I don't care if I say that. I just love it. And we're doing that with Queensland writers who are actually just friends. It sounds very officious to say that. So it's guys who we wrote 7 days with and Strange Chores with. We're all writing that together, and it's our first sort of proper co-production. And it's every little step we've tried to sort of, which is probably why I always try to say I don't know what I'm doing. It's probably because each step I really don't. I've sort of gone up a little bit, and I lay the tracks down as we go. And then at the same time, I might just play the Strange Chores trailer to break up me mumbling.
Nobody's interrupting us with questions.
I noticed that. Is there anything so far at all? Oh yes, great, yes.
So you were saying that you took the route going straight to the broadcasters with
Yeah.
your Strange Chores.
Yeah, it was Debbie Lee, who was the head of comedy at the time. She did stuff like, she found Wilfred, and she was amazing.
Okay. So were you just one of those lucky people that seemed to know who to talk to, or did you just kind of just walk into a room and be like, hey, I want to talk to you?
No, I never, if I have any sort of gift, it would be that everyone's a person, and I sort of recognise that to do that would maybe be a little bit rude. To sort of say, look, is there a way I could present it to you? And I can actually tell you the honest way the Strange Chores happened was that during Squid, so everything helped in some way. During Squid, we got to know the Working Dog guys, and they knew Debbie, who was the head of comedy, and they didn't do anything. They were so helpful to us, but in terms of introducing me to Debbie, they didn't do anything other than say, this is Daley. And that was it. So from there, it was sort of up to me, and I sent her, Debbie, a 10-page script. And it was really bad, and it was, and she said that she really she didn't find it funny, which was great, and which was there was a drama then, and then, but she said she really liked Squid, and this is all on her. So at each stage, I've had someone who's really helped me. I don't think they're just people want to help new people. It's really true, I think. And she didn't find it funny, but she found Squid funny and didn't think she would have found that funny on the page, which was really Buddha thing to say. And
There's
then
something about the realisation of Squid, I think, that probably a lot of people saw. If you can you see it online? Can you find Squid
yeah, it's somewhere on there. Yeah, and then what happened was, I guess.
Doesn't make sense, but it's engaging.
Thanks.
I mean, it does. I don't mean that.
No, I get it. It's just a bad film.
I think it was Daley's first expression, maybe of a bit of a unique sensibility. Would be a fair way to say
well,
it,
that was made with the same writers who we've kept going with, same composers, same everything. So we've sort of formed a solid hub each step along the way, and not jump to a new boat just to jump to it because it's new and shiny. I really believe that champion team and all of that. You know, John Lennon wouldn't have written great songs with Beethoven or something along those lines. But we pitched to Debbie, and then Debbie said, I don't understand it, but I'd like to see more. And then off my own back, I did a 24-minute short with Barry Crocker, Toby Truslove, and Nick, and all the team. And that was before anything. And I actually made sure she didn't feel guilty. I said, don't feel guilty. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And I asked ABC, and I hired a cinema for $500, like a romantic story. It actually was the last $500 I had. And then that was in Sydney, and she brought along the commissioning team, and they didn't commission it there. There was never, I don't think, if I had any advice, which I shouldn't give, but any advice, it would be that nowhere along the line has ever a solid yes happen. It's always a conversation, and then suddenly you realise you're making it. So I wouldn't say that, That just because somebody doesn't like something or doesn't say yes, that it's a no.
That's a pretty important step, though, that we did miss in that discussion, is that you did go out and finance that and shoot it yourself.
Yeah.
And I do remember seeing it. It was a clear realisation.
And it had
where
all the
you were
same
going
cast,
with-
same composers, same tone. It was shot in my parents' garage, and in my room. The Coolum police station was in my room anyway. And that's what helped. Just doing it. So, and that would be something about Ludo and Nick and everyone, I think, who surround myself with, or I surround them, is that I'm like George Bush, and that we all default to creating. Like if people aren't getting it, must just be I need to show them it then. And however you default, I don't know what that would be. Whatever you can do, script, shoot something, or however you can best display it, that may not be just a pitch. Did that answer the question? Did it? Just do it. Yeah, like Nike, like Reebok says. Yeah, no, that's it. Did that help?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Is that what you took to Hoodlum? Did you take your one?
That's right.
Yeah,
So what I took to Hoodlum was Debbie said yes to development, but and Jock from Screen Queensland has been. I don't think he's been biased, but he's always been a massive champion. And the best I could say was that he seemed to champion people who champion themselves, that don't just say come on, and don't do something. And I noticed that with Screen Queensland that I often did, or even government agencies, I'd often to apply for them, and I would sit down a little bit. But once I started to roll balls myself, people wanted to help much more. So yeah, as much as you can do yourself, I would do. I wouldn't say default to creating and then ask for help, I think. But yeah, so I took to Hoodlum a small development deal, really small, just to write a couple of scripts, and I would have never gotten through any sort of show without a production company, and I'd met Hoodlum along the way, so it was all little bits along the way, and we just really got on really well, and I learned how to make a TV show from it. Yeah. Anyway, well, I can play Strange Chores to break it up. It's only a minute 50. This is the trailer, I think. Oh, that's
So just to be clear, not for the Strange Calls, this is the Strange Chores.
This is an animation series, but I guess it goes to show that that people really respond to just creating, and maybe the genre or whatnot is the biggest thing I learned about animation or everything is that a lot of the time when we're pitching animation, people just wanted to see the story. They didn't want to see designs too much. Often when you think of it, people, and it's true, always wanted story, which was really refreshing for us because that's a lot of all we could do. All right, I'll just play this one along to break it up a bit. There we go. Sorry, guys.
There are extraordinary things out there in the darkness. Unbelievable things that 12-year-old boys should not know about. Ghosts, goblins, wizards, and monsters. And you, dear children, have been chosen to do their chores.
What?
You boys will take incredible journeys to distant lands and get hands-on experience working with amazing animals. You'll have a truly magical time.
Whoa!
As you're swept up in the world's greatest adventures. And for all this, you'll both be rewarded with glorious pocket money. Minus expenses and taxes. The only question is, can you forge your parents' signatures on these employee release forms?
Whoa!
This is Q, your duty manager.
A ghost!
And a grim reminder of the importance of safety first in the workplace.
Welcome to the coolest job in the world, losers.
Welcome to the Strange Chores. First shift starts now. Oh, I always get that wrong. Now!
So yeah, it was. Maybe it's not so appropriate to play it, but I want to play it because I like it. And that's sort of where we are at the moment. That we're doing this animated series, a 52. It's in development, I should say, with ABC. 52 12 minutes. So it was learning everything new. It was 30-minute live action, a 12-minute. And short form for 7 days, and then 12-minute animation. But at its, I reckon it's all the same, which is storytelling and making characters, and it's all the same. And I think you can pick it up, not quickly or easily, but you can pick it up if you want to. I think we seem to follow the idea to the form. That sounds so wanky, but yeah, anyway, that's it. And we're also doing Doodles at the moment, which is very similar to 7 days, but it's sort of Beach Dads meets 7 days. Which is we take people's doodles, drawings, doodles, I don't care, doodles, and we make funny micro episodes out of them. And we Screen Australia is helping us make that, which is really exciting, really, really exciting. And that's and Nick's doing Soulmates. So that's where we are at the moment. That we're sort of onto 7 days 2. That's sort of where we are, and those other projects.
And so someone is taking the creative lead on each of those. From
yeah, totally. It's all So Nick is very much hipsters, Nick and Christian, and I think that's why we're able to keep maybe do as much as possible. Is that one person does wear the crown or whatever. Yeah, and that's where we are. That's where we are. So we've done a lot of different stuff, but I think it's all the same. I mean, in terms of maybe genre and platforms and whatnot, but I think it's all the same thing, I think.
It's interesting that you found each other with the sensibilities shared. How did you hook up initially?
On Facebook. Same way I got in touch with Barry Crocker, same way I got in touch with Colin Mockery, same way I got in touch with Corey Feldman. That was Twitter. Honestly, it's the tools or whatever are there. Yeah. So yeah, it's all been online. Yeah. And so I guess maybe what you want to talk about is 7 days.
Yeah, I think so. No one else is interrupting, so that's
Yeah. Is there anything else I could ask something?
They're very well
Just wondering, when you take it away from you, like when it goes perhaps when you're partnering or when
Yeah.
you produce or whatever, how well developed is the thing that you're showing the pitch that's showing them? Have you got all your stories sorted out? Have you got all your bits and pieces, or is it just
For broadcasters or like creative partners, or like for
either?
Okay, well, for broadcasters and people like that, in my head, the flick has always been switched that this is going to be the best thing ever. I would never take it to them to test it and say, do you reckon this is good? Like, I would think it's good, and then if it's not right, it must be something wrong with the way I'm communicating it. I must have left off something. But in terms of like John, who we write with, who's there, or Luke or Charlie, who's a partner in Brisbane, definitely at testing stage. What do you think of this idea? And then they would never say no or anything, but that's what I would say. It's testing a lot with the people you're around, especially for the same mentality. And a lot of what helped these shows was that we pitched it in a tone. So we said it was sort of Strange Chores with Mother and Son meets the X-Files. And that really helped push it across. And 7 days later was something like Saturday Night Live for the YouTube generation, or Saturday Night Live meets Choose Your Own Adventure, maybe, something like that. So to help, we always tried to put it in some sort of terms that were a bit digestible.
Okay, so I'm wondering just how developed the idea was before you went outside of you.
Outside of us.
Yeah, did you?
It's changes for each one. It's all roads seem to lead to Rome. That Strange Chores was shot something, but I had a lot to prove because I had nothing. 7 days later was a one-pager. Sorry, did no one hear that question? Sorry. But so in terms of taking it out to people, 7 days later was a one-pager. Strange Chores was a Bible, but we had pitched something to Chris Rose at ABC before, and he just said not right, but he gave us 3 shows to watch, which is sort of like Tim was talking about. We wrote to brief for that one.
Did you just have an outline, or did you actually have all your storyline written and the whole thing?
7 days later was a one-pager, so that means it was pretty much gave an overview of how it would work and who we were thinking, and as much good stuff as possible. Strange Chores with Debbie was the same thing. This was before Hoodlum. It was a one-pager and a pilot, and the pilot was probably more indicative of what it would be like. And Strange Chores was a Bible.
But then back home inside your studio, was it all set up and ready to roll?
Studio is a very loose word.
You just had
There's a shed at Coolum.
Yeah, we've got time zone across the road.
Would it be fair to interject, Daley, and say it depends on the conversation you might be having? Like
it totally.
This sort of environment where you might
I
pick
think,
up on a moment.
I actually picked up on this environment that that Screen Australia said that nobody applies for children's live action, and that's crazy. Like, and I just started chatting to Deirdre about what sort of they were thinking, what was live action to them for children, and she was mentioning amazing stuff like the Spiderwick Chronicles and stuff like that. Like, me personally, why wouldn't you want to do that? So I guess it's like just getting a sense for it, but also the broadcaster is really good at, or whoever it is really good at telling you what they might want. But I think Joe was really right to not overwrite. I don't think we ever do that. Yeah, I think it's sort of horses for courses. But in my head, it's like whatever convinces me that it's the next X-Files or something. That's all I want to do.
I guess I'm thinking, is it a package that's really quite complete? So beforehand, or do you just have a gestation of the idea, and you go to them and say, oh, I've got this idea, and then all of the production and everything happens after that pitch? And
Oh, I see. So you're asking if I like, if like you approach with 6 scripts or something?
Yeah.
Written? No. The one thing I totally learned was that people want to be involved. They don't want to just be given something, or else they'll acquire it. No, and they're really good as well. Like, I think people say network notes and stuff like that. Everything has improved each show. I think you can get a cold shoulder and say, oh, they're trying to change the show. But it just means that you're not communicating what you're trying to communicate properly, I think. But that's sort of where we are. And I'd be happy to talk more about 7 days. We have a making of it to give you a bit more of an idea about it, unless anyone had another question.
I think it'd be good to see the making.
Sorry, one more question. So what this is each week we had the episode and the making of the episode. So a bit like Backyard Blitz or Makeover or something, The Swan, or those shows, you'd see the making of how we did the episode and then the episode. So this is the making of episode 1, which was with Colin Mockery. From Whose Line Is It Anyway?
They keep relying on that it's 5 minutes, and that's good. I don't know what it will be like. I think more and more, like, people may end up hating it. Like, as even if it is good, you just can't control it. All you can focus on is making a good episode.
So that's Nick from Hipsters and Beach.
7 days later is a 5-minute show that we make in a 7-day period, like the Earth.
I don't think anybody's really done what we're doing before. That's pretty cool. Each week we create an episode of TV with our online audience. We do a bit of a story session.
Little Billy's allergic to fire.
And then we ask for music, character descriptions, and the characters in the episodes will be those character descriptions we got. So we think that sort of conversational attitude is working.
We are relying on the audience to actually work with us to make this thing happen. So
Richard was an EP at ABC too.
Daley's in big trouble.
Who ran it?
I have no idea what I'm doing, which is fine.
Make no bones about it, these guys are not going to be sleeping much in the next 6 weeks.
It is an entirely collaborative affair. I think that's the most important thing to think about.
We just keep asking for ideas. Eventually we have a script that we then keep adjusting and changing based on Twitter responses, Facebook responses, YouTube responses, everything responses.
And what they actually suggest to us actually goes on air. Send us in a keyword and we'll kind of try and craft an episode around that. The one that we quite liked was Drama Queen by a guy
which is actually 2 words.
This week's episode is about an improvisational group who get held up in a Chinese restaurant, and they take it upon themselves to improvise their way out of that situation.
The Triple J audience will be used for a crucial part of the show, so we put a call out to Triple J and we said, hey, what roles do you think these actors would play to get their way out of a hostage situation?
A priest with Tourette syndrome.
Oh, a priest with Tourette syndrome is a fantastic idea.
Great suggestion.
One character is a bad guy who's done it all before. So when the baddies come in, it's like, everybody just shut up and blah. He's like, you've come into the wrong Chinese restaurant, pal.
That was Nick from Newcastle suggested that.
You just walked into the wrong Chinese restaurant, punks. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Put the guns down. Oh, fuck off!
There's a direct line between their suggestions and what broadcasts.
We take all the suggestions and we put them all into a script that makes sense, and then we take that to a rehearsal day with the cast. It was the first time we'd all been together, so it was cool to know that everyone got on.
It's the meeting of 2 worlds in a way, this idea. We've got, you know, the kind of digital stars meets kind of the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of works out over the next 6 weeks.
You can just keep passing him notes. I've got a golden retriever named Fargus. Yeah.
And eventually, a minute before we start filming, we have a script based on our audience's involvement.
6:13, the day before the shoot. Actors rehearsed. Feeling good.
This has literally blown my mind. Just the amount of planning and capital that is going into this. For a 5-minute thing on ABC2, it's quite amazing, actually. Especially coming from a YouTube background where I literally just stay in my room and shout at my laptop.
The guest stars we want aren't particularly like famous people. We don't want famous people or celebrities. Well, I don't. I think the ABC might. But we didn't have the guest for the first week, and I found Colin Mockery. I really wanted him, and I emailed his agent, and he was really nice. And then I emailed Colin, and Colin came up to ABC to meet me, and I had to sort of tell him what the show was about because he only had heard vaguely about it.
We're going to tell you exactly what the ship is.
And I really ruined my pitch to him because I was so nervous.
I think it's funny. I do think it's funny.
I gotta say, he pitched this to me in the worst possible way. He said, I don't know if you're gonna like this or if it's gonna be good, but it'd be so nice if you would do it. But there was something sort of charming about that, and I did feel he was lying to me a bit, because he did know what he was doing.
Should I do the avatar thing? You should not be here. You should not be here.
Daley really hasn't slept for about three weeks.
I haven't worked with Daley all that much. I think when he gets nervous, he just gets really nice. Just be nervous all the time. Daley.
And action. As much as there is a shitload of work to do, we're adults playing. That's what we're doing. We're just adults having fun, and this is our fucking job.
Cut, go! It can be a little intimidating at times, but then I go to my special place, and that seems to work for me.
You walked into the wrong Chinese restaurant, pal.
We're ending blinds now?
Are you extras in this or something?
Yeah.
We're going to be, like, they don't know this, but it's actually a snuff film. We're going to be literally killing them live on screen with various weapons.
So I was on Facebook, I heard about that this was going down, and then one thing led to another, and here we are.
It was awesome. It was really hard not to laugh, but we held our composure.
This is the biggest thing I've done so far. This whole week I've been staring at the ceiling, laying awake at night in excitement for sharing some screen time with the great Colin Mockery.
Eat rock. Hard rock with my teeth. And then squeeze boulders out my rectum.
I mean, cut there. Cool, we'll take that up there. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, just got to get through the next hour or so, and then we might have a little nap before we start on Act 2. Yay!
And cut there.
So good!
That was great, well done. Cheer up on Colin Mockery. Thanks so much.
That was great.
I'll show you.
I don't know if I'm in next week, so I don't know what's happening, don't know what's going on. Probably still be bored by it. McNeil sticks.
Neil.
I hope he really liked it because I really want to work with him again. I like to think we're friends now. He is following me on Twitter, which is, you know, I've got that going for me now.
Thank you so much.
Well,
I so appreciate you doing this.
Much success.
I've been so embarrassed. I am a massive fan.
Oh,
All through my life.
You know, a big part of improv is saying yes. And I find as I'm getting older, I'm trying to incorporate that into my life more. So saying yes to things takes me into these directions that I may have, for some reason, stopped myself from getting to. So because I said yes to this, I met a whole group of lovely people who got involved with this project that I think is going to do very well. And hopefully these people will remember me and use me to greater advantage in the future. It's all about me.
Sorry, so that was a bit long, but I thought it would explain it better than I ever would. But that was the that was the making of the first episode, where we really didn't know what we were doing.
We'd love to show the first episode if we get time, but...
Yeah, but it's online otherwise. But
there
was so many learning things in that.
So, Daley, even though we've covered it, let's just go back for a second. So, in getting this show up, did you take a fully formed idea that utilised all of the ABC's platforms in the way that the show ended up doing, or
no.
did you know that's something they wanted to do for that?
No,
age group? How did it form?
This was a bit funny because I pitched this as like a one-pager before Strange Chores, and then I got a call out of the blue from Richard that he liked it, who was the EP, but that was sort of all. Like the onus is, I mean, always. It's a bit stupid to say, but it's always on you. And then Screen Australia really were the saving grace with this one. And Screen Queensland funded development. So they have something called the early conceptual development thing, where they give you money. No, they don't. No, sorry, Jock. But they have that for ideas that might have a bit of interest from market or might have something a bit solid. And we had this email from the ABC saying, look, we like this and we'd like to see more of it. And we used that to move along a bit.
Okay.
And we were going to do a pilot, and then it just sort of blew out that Screen Australia liked it and came on board, which was, right thing, right time.
So
I don't know, that's a bit of a cop-out. We worked pretty hard. Yeah.
In terms of the cast that you brought on and the way that you structured that, was that something that you guys developed or the ABC asked you to do? So
we developed that, but they liked it. The biggest thing that appealed to the ABC about this, and I've actually noticed it just in little chats in, sorry, I always say I'm wacky, but in New York and stuff like that, was that people, I know, but the YouTube stars is such a weight now. It's like, let's not use Tom Cruise, let's use someone who's got a lot of followers. That's probably not that exact sentence, but it will get there. But that was the big thing I've learned so much in this, that the online people have got so much creativity and things like that. It's like a big showreel cast thing, but on YouTube. And what we did to get them was we just talked to them. So a lot of the time the agent would make it a bit harder, but just talking to them was always good.
Were they excited by the idea of crossing over into broadcast?
Which is a bit weird because like it's jumping onto a never mind.
Doesn't surprise me.
Sinking ship, what I say.
Would be exciting. So how many were there? There were 5?
No, there were quite a few. That's the thing. We overcast, and it was really sucked each week when we had to choose so many people.
Okay.
And with the new one, I think they're going to make it half hour, which will help. It'll really hurt me. I'll die. But it will. But the biggest thing we learn about sharing and online is that we needed to give the people value. Just because they're part of something doesn't mean that all their audience is going to migrate over or anything like that. You really need to give them some value in it. And doing a longer show where they get to do more, the audience will share more.
So what sort of audience, I know that's a bit of a tough question, but together what kind of audience would they bring?
Like figures?
Ish.
No, a little bit. I'm just trying to think. It's big.
Think of one as an example.
Well, Nick is a bit different. I can talk about Nick. So they all had stats, and this is how we presented to the ABC. We said these are the guys we're thinking, these are their stats. And Nick is always a bit different. He's a part of Ludo, but almost everything he has sort of been involved in has had a bit of a lightning in a bottle. So his stats wasn't so much that he had a pool of followers, so like Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. He didn't have so much subscribers. It just people seemed to follow him for whatever reason. But other people like Alex Williamson, I don't know if you guys know him, he's massive. And this was written 2 years ago, so I don't know what it would be now. It would have increased. But these are his stats. They were really big. So what ABC were excited about, Stuart Menzies was his name, who's the head of ABC2. Now he's the head of everything, I think, head of all TV. He was excited that broadcast audiences from ABC2, which is a new digital channel trying to be hip and cool, whatever, they would find audiences under a rock these people under a rock who had millions of followers who most people hadn't have heard of, maybe. But what these guys would like would be the broadcast stars. His followers would like, you get to see my favourite star acting with Colin Mockery or something, or something funny like Corey Feldman. So each balanced each other out, and that was the thing I sort of could tell Stuart really liked. And it's what they just did Fresh Blood, so it's all heading there. They did Fresh Blood where they let people create shorts for online. So I think stations slowly realising that not so much multi-platform, but that audience, bringing maybe a pre-packaged audience, or that you have access to an audience, is give you a big help.
Using them in a different way. It's not that this is completely unique in that way, but the outcome is quite unique.
Yeah. Well, it paid off, like, because what we seemed to create was like, what do they call it? Appointment viewing, I guess. And ABC2 isn't a big channel. I think it will be because they're doing the best stuff around. ABC seemed to be, but it's not big at the moment. But it was on ABC2 like at 9 o'clock. We had a pretty good slot. We were given a really good slot after Good Game or something. So it's sort of the audience was right. But each week we were the top 10 shows. It was like between a 10 and 15 minute broadcast. So it was a flash. It came and went. But it was the top 10 shows for ABC1 and ABC2 for 18 to 24-year-olds. And it was because of that following it along. And it was a first show on ABC that was available on YouTube at the same time, and then available on iView. So there was no reason people should have watched broadcast, but they did.
What about the more traditional guest cast that you brought in? What kind of, I suppose it's...
It was a pretty, in terms of audience, it was a pretty obvious thing. The more liked and more big they were, the bigger the audience.
Were they keen to be involved in something like
this? It took a bit of convincing. Like, we had no guest stars a week before we started.
Okay.
I remember the ABC, this is really bad, I shouldn't say this, but the ABC said something like, what about Warwick Kappa? No, but they said, what about Warwick Kappa? And I was going, oh no, because that just wasn't the show we wanted to make. Like, it felt like it was maybe like slightly a prank show, and we were trying to make something a bit more Hitchcock-hour, but funny maybe.
So actors with cred, they had to be, or cult status maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. Just people we really wanted to work with, and I think we did. We worked with Colin Mockery, Corey Feldman, John Jarrett, Sigrid Thornton, who was amazing, a younger actor called Toby Truslove, and Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords. So we were really lucky, but we also were horribly persistent as well. Yeah.
Okay. Would you be happy to show us? Have we got time?
The episode?
Yeah, I think. Would everyone like to see one? We've got 5 minutes. We've got time, and then we've got
5
time
minutes.
for
Do we have we have time for questions after it?
Yeah, if we watch
Will
it
that
now.
kill the mood for questions?
You want to talk first? No,
you'll say, oh, I thought it might have been good. All right. All right. No. Okay. Cool. So I'll to give a bit of context to what 7 Days was, and I'm really, really excited to hopefully do a 2. We're just figuring out how to now with budget cuts. Weirdly, that affects you. But ABC really want to do it. But we're really excited that it could be like an SNL. Like it could find Australian talent. And which it did. It did in a way, and that's what we're excited about. That it's not just a funny show, but it is a show. Well, how people collaborated was the best.
It's actually interesting. That was something I was going to ask you, and when I sat down and thought about it, how much. Well, it's pretty obvious. I think that part of the success of this is the team that are making it as well. I think
so. It's a weird thing because we've been chatting to people like maybe not name, but like overseas for the format and things like that, and. It's a no-brainer to say, oh, let's do it in London and get London YouTube stars and we'll get Ian Guffold or something. Like, it's really cool. But then they're like, well, the team, like, you sort of have to be able to do it. Not to say, like, I don't think we did anything amazing, but it's a certain type of
it's an
creatives.
Ensemble kind of performance as much as
it's a really certain type of creative. But I think more and more that people are just like that growing up on YouTube and broadcasting that.
Might be just about finding the right one.
I think so. But anyway, so this is it. So we had about every week we had about, I forget this one, it may be about 7 hours. I think the shoot was about 7 hours. I think so. And we had Colin for about 3 or 4.
Okay.
3, I think 3. Anyway, I'll just play it and not make excuses.
The following program was created in 7 days. The story, characters, and dialogue were developed by our audience. It may contain traces of nuts.
A toast to our improvisational troupe.
Yes, and.
Yes, and what?
Exactly. Oh, God, yeah. But seriously, guys, tonight's performance was pretty shit. We've got problems. There's, quite the elephant in the room.
And I don't want to name names. It's Colin.
It's Colin.
It's Colin.
It's Colin. Wait, what?
I can do that better. I was taken by surprise.
Colin, we're kicking you out of the improv group. Well, you should not be here.
We're really sorry.
Wow, that was so real.
But why? No, I can do this.
But why? That's why. You're a terrible actor.
We just don't believe you. Kissing men on stage, hoedown sing-alongs, pretending to be Canadian.
I am Canadian.
Then why don't I believe you?
It's 2013, Colin. The improv theatre community wants something real.
Same.
Good, that was great. Yeah. I really feel pretty happy with that.
There must be some way I can prove to you I'm a good actor.
Colin, I'm going to level with you, okay? You would need an actual, literal miracle to happen now.
Just fucking relax and stay cool, or I will cut your legs off and beat you to death with them.
Oh, hey, maybe not.
Go on, give us your shit.
Sorry, be more specific. He means kind of like phones and wallets and jewelry.
The last thing we need is anybody acting like a hero. Acting like a hero.
Hero. You just robbed the wrong Chinese restaurant. How?
Who are you supposed to be, eh? Sit down!
Seen a lot of pussy in my time, but I ain't never seen one with a gun.
Oh, that'll!
Supporting.
Hey!
You all walked through them doors. Did 3 things wrong. Number 1.
Excuse me. I'm a...
Who we got now, eh?
Irish priest. And I'm pleased the Lord has set me down here to guide you off this sinful path you're walking on. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is... Father Seamus Doodleburger Side Boob McClickety Stick.
You just killed a small Indian child, and he had it coming. Any other hero? Hero?
TV psychic. Vincent Jazzle.
Hey, you got anything to say? Want to end up like your fucking mates here? You!
You're terrible, Colin. You're a bad actor. Shit. You're the worst actor in the world. We need to call this such a disease.
There must be some way I can prove to you I'm a good actor. I'm a good actor.
Colin!
What are you doing? Colin!
Sorry, excuse me. I think he means you.
I'm just listening to some voices that... No, well, no, they're done.
Look at what we have here. I'm Sheriff
Buck Remington. Ooh, that's my handle. And I once made love to a rattlesnake. You know how hard that is? They're so close to the ground, but I did it. You smiled at me 4 times. You're in trouble. I'm gonna count to 1. 1!
What happens now?
All right, now that's on me. I didn't give you the full information. But it don't matter, because I'm the law here. Get it? Oh, it's going on. It's going on. Oh, you're going to be so sorry interfering in something you didn't have to interfere in. I can do this. Up down. I see. Oh, no, you should have called.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I know this is not what you wanted. As you were. So sorry.
These floors are filthy.
So stupid. I haven't watched that for a while. It's very stupid. Yeah.
It's very funny. I think we're out.
Is that it?
Time
Well,
now.
okay. Well, if anyone wants to tweet me any questions at all, I've been helped along the way so much by people, so I'll happily be as transparent as possible. My Twitter's Daley_Pearson, and if you have any questions, or just grab me. That's probably easier. But otherwise, yeah, I'm more than happy. Anything I can do, because I have been helped a lot along
That's
the way.
great, Daley. Thank you very much.
No, thanks very much. Thanks very much.